The smell of fresh coffee and cinnamon filled the air as the little cafe on the corner bustled with quiet chatter. Sunlight streamed through the glass windows, catching on the soft curls of a little girl who sat by the counter, swinging her legs and doodling on a napkin. She looked up every time the door opened, her big brown eyes expectant, as though she was waiting for something, or someone, she couldn't name. And then, on an ordinary Tuesday morning, the bell above the cafe door jingled, and her entire world changed. He walked in, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a sharp suit that screamed wealth and power. His presence shifted the atmosphere, customers paused, baristas stared, even the hum of conversation softened. But all of that was background noise to her. Because the moment she saw him, her heart nearly stopped. Claire, the man who had walked out of her life 7 years ago. The man who had left her with nothing but memories, heartbreak, and a secret that now sat by the counter, doodling flowers on a napkin. And before she could even move, before she could even breathe, the little girl looked up from her drawing, tilted her head curiously at the stranger in the doorway, and smiled. "Daddy?" she asked, her innocent voice carrying through the cafe like a thunderclap. The room froze. Claire's hands trembled so hard she nearly dropped the mug she was holding. She wanted to scream, to run, to take her daughter and hide. But it was too late. The man, Daniel Ashford, CEO of Ashford Enterprises, the man she had once loved more than her own breath, was already looking at the child. And he knew. Daniel had built empires. He had negotiated billion-dollar deals. He had faced boardrooms full of sharks and never flinched. But nothing, not money, not power, not success, prepared him for this moment. For the sight of a little girl with eyes that mirrored his own. For the sound of one word that cracked open the life he thought he knew, Daddy. His throat tightened, his heart hammered. 7 years ago, he had walked away from Claire. He thought it was the right decision. His family disapproved of her. His father had threatened to disinherit him, and Daniel had been weak. He had convinced himself she'd be better off without him. He had thrown himself into work, building his company, burying his regrets. But here, in this cozy cafe, all of his carefully constructed lies crumbled. He hadn't left Claire alone. He had left her with their daughter. Claire forced a smile at the other customers, ushered her barista to handle things, and pulled Daniel aside. She tried to keep her voice steady, but anger and fear laced every word. "You don't get to just walk in here," she hissed. "Not after all these years." Daniel's gaze flicked to the child, his child, and then back to Claire. "Why didn't you tell me?" His voice was raw, disbelieving. "Because you didn't want me," she snapped. "You made that perfectly clear when you left. I wasn't going to beg you to stay. And I sure as hell wasn't going to let you walk in and out of her life like a tourist." The girl, Lily, came bounding over then, holding her napkin with a bright grin. "Look, Mommy, I drew us." She pointed at the 3 stick figures. One tall man, one woman with long hair, and a little girl holding both their hands. Claire's chest ached. She had worked so hard to protect Lily from the truth, to give her stability, to fill her life with love so she wouldn't feel the absence of a father. But children are perceptive. Lily had asked countless times why she didn't have a daddy like the other kids at school. Claire had always dodged the question, telling her some families looked different. But Lily had never stopped wishing. Now, that wish had walked right through the door. Over the next few weeks, Daniel kept coming back. At first, Claire resisted. She told him to leave. She told him Lily didn't need him. But every time, Lily's face lit up when he arrived. Every time, she'd run to him with a story or a drawing or a question. And every time, Claire's walls cracked a little more. She saw the way Daniel looked at Lily, with awe, with pride, with a love so fierce it almost broke her heart. She saw how patient he was, how he never raised his voice, how he listened intently to every word Lily said. He wasn't just playing a part, he wanted to be there. But Claire couldn't forget the nights she cried herself to sleep, pregnant and alone. Couldn't forget the jobs she juggled, the sacrifices she made, the fear that one day she wouldn't be able to provide for Lily. Where was he then? Where was this devotion when she needed him most? Daniel tried to explain. I was a coward, he admitted one evening, sitting across from her after closing time. I let my father dictate my life. I thought I was protecting you by staying away, but I was just protecting myself. I regret it every single day. Claire, give me a chance to make it right. Her heart wanted to believe him, but her mind reminded her of the pain. The biggest challenge came when Daniel's world collided with Lily's. The press found out. Photographers began showing up outside the cafe, snapping pictures of Daniel with a little girl who looked suspiciously like him. Rumors swirled online. The powerful CEO with a secret family. Claire panicked. She had built a quiet, simple life for her daughter. She didn't want Lily dragged into the cruel spotlight of wealth and gossip. She confronted Daniel, tears streaming down her face. This is exactly why I kept you away. She deserves a normal life, not to be plastered across tabloids as your scandal. Daniel took her hands, his own eyes shining. You're right, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect her. Claire, I don't care about the headlines. I care about her, about you. I'll walk away from the company if I have to. None of it means anything without my family. His words cut through her defenses. For the first time, she saw not the CEO, not the man who abandoned her, but the father who would fight for his child. The man who still loved her, despite everything. The turning point came on Lily's 7th birthday. She had begged for one thing, for mommy and daddy to both be there. Claire hesitated, torn between shielding her daughter and confronting her own fears. But when she saw Lily's face light up as Daniel carried in the cake, when she heard her daughter's laughter as they sang together, she realized something powerful. Lily wasn't asking for perfection. She wasn't asking for a fairy tale. She just wanted love. She just wanted her family, however broken or mended it might be. That night, after the guests left and Lily fell asleep clutching her new doll, Claire and Daniel stood in the kitchen, surrounded by balloons and half-eaten cupcakes. I don't know if I can forgive you completely, Claire whispered. But I know Lily deserves this. She deserves us, and maybe I do too. Daniel pulled her into his arms, his voice trembling. I'll spend the rest of my life proving it. To both of you. It wasn't easy. There were arguments, mistrust, and old wounds that took time to heal. Daniel had to earn Lily's trust in little ways, showing up to school plays, helping with homework, reading bedtime stories. He had to earn Claire's trust by being consistent, by being vulnerable, by showing that he was no longer the man who had walked away. And slowly, he did. The cafe became not just a business, but the heart of their new beginning. Daniel invested in expanding it, not as a corporate venture, but as a family dream. Claire ran it with the same passion she always had, and Lily grew up knowing she was deeply loved by both her parents. Years later, as they sat together in the cafe, Daniel sipping his coffee, Claire laughing beside him, Lily doodling yet another family picture, Claire realized something profound. Life had broken her once. But sometimes, broken things can be rebuilt stronger than before. And the greatest gift she could give her daughter wasn't shielding her from pain, it was showing her that love, real love, can survive even the darkest storms. This story isn't about fairy tales or perfect endings. It's about second chances, about courage, about forgiveness. It's about the idea that even when life doesn't go as planned, we can choose to rebuild. We can choose love again, not just for ourselves, but for the ones who need it most. Because sometimes, the hardest battles lead to the most beautiful victories.